you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout Coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Welcome to Deep Dive, where we dive deep into geocaching topics. Each episode features in-depth discussions and aims to provide a deeper understanding and appreciation of geocaching and to inspire listeners to explore new aspects of our great sport. And with me tonight, of course, is my co-host, Jesse, and our special guest, Nick from Cachely. Woohoo! Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
So glad to have you guys along. And Nick, it's been a minute, but we are so grateful that you are with us tonight to talk about something that is near and dear to Jesse and I's heart.
Oh yeah.
The great app of Cachely.
No, I just cache with the GPS. I don't even use a phone. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's near and dear to my heart as well. I hope you know that.
Oh, I know. Yes.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yes.
Yeah, we go way back. We just had our 7th anniversary show, but Nick and I went back and we actually we had Nick on as a guest on the old show I was on with Cache Release. So that's back in the way back. That was the 1.0 days, I think.
That was the pre-show, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the other show.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. We won't talk about how long it's been. So anyway, so Jesse, you said you wanted us to, before we get started, you wanted to
just so everybody knows, we are going to get into some advanced stuff tonight, and Nick always shows us stuff, which I wouldn't think that you'd be able to show me stuff that I didn't know on there because I use it so much. But every time you come on, you're like, oh, you can do this. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. But and for people who don't know that have joined us more recently or even joined geocaching recently, because we frequently have somebody that's brand new and they just jump on Facebook and see this. So we're going to get into the deep dive stuff of Cachely tonight, as we promised, of course. But for those that haven't seen it, I think we should probably kind of go over what Cachely is. Cachely is a geocaching app. It's been out for several years now. We talk about it frequently on this show. It's only on iOS, so just hang in there if you're not an iOS person. One day you'll grow up and, all that other stuff. But no. But anyway.
Which is funny because Nicole, she's like, I'm an Android peasant.
An Android peasant, yeah.
It's cool to see how the other guys play.
And we kind of talked about it last week. I won't get into it, but 2 of the 3 of us on my road trip I just did a week or so ago we're Cachely users. The other person has a non-Apple phone. So there was constant banter back and forth of that. We ribbed each other pretty bad on that. But no, so anyway, Cachely's I don't know how we'd officially say it, but the premier geocaching app. It's the one that we love all the time. When we're referencing geocaching on our phone, Gary and I personally, we're always talking about Cachely. Like during the shows that you hear us talking about it, that's what we're talking about. Cachely is full featured, more than we could get into tonight. We'll be able to scratch the surface of some of the deep ones tonight, but it's a one-time fee. There's offline. There's offline maps are in there. There's
we're definitely gonna talk about that,
which we always use every day. For us, Cachely is the app. If you have iOS, Cachely is the app.
If you have
it exclusively, but it does more than like whenever I hear you got an update coming out, I'm shocked because I'm like, what can we add? It's like cell phones coming out. And they're like, it's magic this year, next year, it's magic again. Like, who said I needed these things? And you're like, oh crap, I do. But yeah, it's amazing that you're able to keep adding those every year. But I don't really know how to boil Cachely down to a 2-minute elevator speech. I know that every time I introduce somebody to geocaching, I go, just go ahead and download Cachely. You're going to get into this game anyway, so you might as well start there. Don't start somewhere else and have to learn something new. But it's the one we recommend all the time.
Absolutely. So a couple things. Our giveaway tonight, later on, will be, of course, if you put hashtag Cachely, and yes, if you're an Android user, you can type hashtag Cachely, and you might actually win.
Prize, you can do it.
What's that?
To win a prize, you can do it, right? You can.
Yeah, to win a prize, we'll let you. Yeah, we're not going to ask you what your stated for the record. You can win without it. So, a couple things. We're gonna dive into a lot of fascinating things about it. Give you some real world uses and stories, but also tonight is Tip the Developer Night.
Oh yeah.
So tonight we are doing. So if you open up Cachely, I assume if you're watching, you want to open up Cachely. But at the bottom, well, not bottom, but in the more section, there's a little button called Tip the Developer, which I think still works, right? Right, Nick?
It still works, yes.
It still works. So I'm going to be tipping the developer tonight, and I'm encouraging everyone to punch that button tonight. Punch that Tip the Developer button. And let's
and what that does to help support Nick, and his team of 50 people that he has.
50
that work on it full time, right? Yeah. For people that don't know, Nick is not at the top of a team of people doing this. This is Nick. So we always mention on the show, but I always want to remember that. But it's kind of like the what's the feature in YouTube that everybody uses now? The super tip thing.
Oh yeah,
You're watching a show and you're adding
the chat.
For the chats and stuff.
Yeah.
Those this is what it is for Cachely. So if you've been using Cachely for years, you paid that $5 like 10 years ago. It's okay to tip them every once in a while. I'm just throwing that
Absolutely.
out there.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
Is it still $4.99? Or
it's still $4.99? Yep.
Holy cow, man!
You didn't get the memo. Everything in geocaching is going up now. Even HQ is going up.
That's true. I did get their email. Yes.
Yes. You can. So that means based on that, you can add another $1 a year or something.
Yeah, there'd be people complaining about that.
Yeah.
It'd be silly to complain for a $5 app that you're going to use. It's not like $5 a month. It's a $5 app.
Yeah, that's it.
If it was $5 a month, I'd still probably be like, well, I got to have it. So I don't know what else I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Amber, that's really what tonight really the boils down to tonight is why is it better than the regular app? And we're going to get into that here in a minute. So we do have some questions. Keep the questions coming because that's part of what we're going to do tonight is we're going to intermix in the chat room's questions. So Houston, Texas Dave's asking if you're an AI developer, and I think you're just a regular app developer, right, Nick? You want to kind of tell people what you're doing or what you've been doing?
Yeah, just I develop for iOS, so I don't know if you're talking about AI. I was talking about like artificial intelligence.
Well, like I guess maybe your real job, your day job versus your passion job.
Sure. Yeah. Cachely is not my day job, so it's my side project, but it's a fun side project. So yeah, that's why we always say that it's not a huge team of people. It's just me working in my free time on Cachely. So good things come to people that wait, especially for the 8.0 version that's been taking over a year. So
8.0.
Yep.
So one of the things too, I think people don't realize is that you do have, I guess a good way to put it is you have sort of a team, but it's a team of testers. And so tell people before we get into some of the details of the app, tell people about what that has helped and what it's been like to have your team of beta testers over the years.
Sure. That has been one of the biggest helps of anything is I have a group of over 20 people who have been helping for almost the entire time,
Cool.
for 8 years. And I will be developing features and submit it through Apple to what's called test flight, which all the beta team members, they will get a new version and they can test the features. Then we also talk about it on Slack, and I will tell them what I've changed, bug fixes, new features. And then they will tell me, oh, this thing didn't work. This thing was great. It did fix a problem I had previously. So it's just a discussion figuring out if the features are working, if the bug fixes were correct. They also, new features that they think would be a good idea. And many of the great features that are in Cachely were suggestions by either my beta testers or just regular users on the Facebook group, in various places. I do not take credit for all the features that are in Cachely. That more involved geocachers than I have suggested really great features that I've built into Cachely. So
yeah. Again, keep questions coming. We'll get to them. Jesse, I'm going to mark some of these, so we'll get to them.
We can mark some.
I'll start pinning them.
Yeah.
There's a way to. I'm starting us. The cool thing about we use StreamYard, and StreamYard gives us an opportunity. We can take questions. We can put them in a sort of a Q&A queue for us. So, Toby, thank you for your question. We'll get to yours here in a little bit. So, thank you again. Keep the questions coming. Other people mentioning about just how they love Cachely. So, do you want to start, Jesse, with where would you like to start?
I think we can. Anything we do is gonna tee Nick up to talk about. He knows this. He knows about the ones he's talking about. So why don't we start with Toby's question? So
okay,
I can answer part of it, and then Nick can answer the better answer. So, sure. So is it possible to search for caches by county? Love Cachely, have used it from the beginning. I can tell you what I know about that, and then Nick can tell you what the true with everything is. Just went on a county run recently, and you can absolutely. It's the offline maps. Let me know if I'm using the right terms, but the offline maps, which I bought at some point years ago, I think, when you first got it. So we're going to Georgia. So downloaded the offline map of Georgia. And as I'm driving around, which I all the functions still work, filters and everything else in your list, I can see all the county lines clearly. They're clearly marked on all those. And it's like they're in there, right? You can tell where they are. So by that sense, I can see all the ones that are in the county as long as I'm in that county at the time. If the question is, can you search for a county somewhere else? I would still do the same thing, the offline maps that shows me exact county lines. I don't know how else you'd want to search for them, but anything else related to counties, Nick, and that we do or don't know about yet?
Yeah. So, yep. What you said was exactly right for the current version. One thing I'll mention for our upcoming 8.0 version is there is a new counties feature, and this is for marking which counties you have found and which ones you haven't, as well as finding caches in the ones that you haven't. So
nice.
You'll be able to import your MyFinds GPX from geocaching.com. You can import offline lists. You can import other GPX files. You're basically bringing caches into the database. And then I have all the counties for the United States, for Germany, for Australia, and for the UK in Cachely. And we actually check the bounds of every single county for all the caches that you import. And so it will then mark them on a map. So then you can actually view, say, by state. I live in Washington State. I could look at Washington. I could see all the counties that I found, and they will show up in green. The ones I haven't would show up in red. You can tap on them. You can view the caches you found. You can tap on the red ones and see that you haven't found. And then you can load new caches in, either of the counties. So if you have a red county, you could load new caches there. You could go grab one of those real quick, and then it would turn to green once you found that. So it's going to be a really nice feature to more easily find the counties that you haven't found, or just browse around for, am I close to a county line? Am I close to another county? It's just going to be a helpful tool. So that's something that is coming in 8.0.
First of all, that's awesome. If you're a county cacher at all, that's huge. That's a huge. I've heard so many people that are county cachers say, I wish there was an easy way to do this or that. They're saying exact same thing you're just saying. That is awesome. I can just think of so many times that's an awesome feature. Strek 2 says, in New England, we have town challenges. Can you search by town? So did you make it like kind of match their?
No, there's no way to search by town. So that's not something that we've worked on.
That's not their official counties. That's just the town challenge he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because they do. Yeah. So in Massachusetts, there is a way to do a town challenge, but
I mean, you can use, so say you go to the map, you can actually, you can search for like addresses, and you can search for city and state. If that's helpful, you can just search for your city and state, and then it will zoom their load caches for that city. And if that works, that would be helpful to you for that challenge.
And I've seen a lot of those challenges like that, but it's not something, but those are pre-moratorium challenges. Pretty much anything that you can do post-moratorium, it's got to be boundaries that are set like that. So I doubt that would.
Right. Got it. One of the things we're talking about, and it's to me, it's invaluable to purchase, and it's cheap. But if you want to really enhance your Cachely experience, is to get the maps. So you can buy the maps, and you can buy the offline maps. As you can see, I've downloaded a few of them. I actually did British Columbia because I got to go up to British Columbia and do some caching, so that was cool. But you can download all the different states, countries, and the beautiful thing is when you're in that area, then all of the, let's see if I can give you an example. Here's an easy example. So if you're doing all the counties in Texas, for example, you can see all the counties show up.
Yep.
So, and you can really search closely. So if you're trying to decide whether something is close to a line, you can kind of look and see what you need to do. So it's really great.
That's that new county feature is huge already. I know so many people that are into county caching. They're going to love that.
Yeah, I've had a lot of beta testers that are really into county caching, and they've been testing it. So we've been changing things and finessing it for those kind of cachers.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. So when you're speaking of different beta testers or people who love the app, one of the things, and we'll talk more about the 8.0 maybe in a little while, because I know you're working on that. And I know people want to get an update of that as well. But one of the things that I know Jesse and I both have experienced, well, Jesse more recently because you went on a big trip recently, but when me and Super Nate from Tennessee, we were in Longview for the Texas Challenge event, and we were at the finishers event for everybody who's done all the counties, but we had some time together to geocache. So we were going around Longview, and what we were doing was, and Nate's really good at this, he's so quick, but we are pulling up the caches in Longview, but at the same time, we were pulling up Adventure Labs. And let me tell you, there is nothing more glorious than Cachely doing both. We're doing both. We're doing caches. There's a few, there weren't a lot, but there's a few in the town. And Nate's going, okay, and all he had to do is tell me we're going to go to a geocache, and he'd give me a name or whatever, and I could pull it up on mine. And then we would go, okay, there's an Adventure Lab right here. Click the button, and you could click the button for on Cachely, and it says, do you want to then switch to the Adventure Lab? And so I would switch to the Adventure Lab, and we could, and here's the other thing that was amazing, is that within the little downtown area of Longview, there are meshed into the city.
Oh yeah.
Multiple Adventure Labs. There's a bunch, and they're all, of course, intertwined together. So we didn't have any issue though, because all we had to do was we would just click on the icon on the Cachely page, tell it to open up the Adventure Lab. It took us to the appropriate Adventure Lab. we could then do it, and we close that up and going on to the next one. So as we went through town, we could use Cachely, and we didn't have to like go from the Adventure Lab app, and we didn't have to constantly going from, okay, well, which Adventure Lab is this one? I don't remember.
Right. Yeah.
It made things so streamlined because we did not have to stop and try to determine which. When I was recently in Oklahoma City with some folks, and of course, one of them is not a Cachely user, so it's okay. We understand that, but it slows everything down because they're like, well, which Adventure Lab am I in? It's like, I don't know. It's whichever one's right here because there's 3, So I love that. I love that feature, Nick, that you can just do whatever Adventure Lab is in front of you. I love this. I love that.
Now, it makes it super easy to hunt for Adventure Labs, right alongside with the actual geocaches too. So,
yeah.
Any changes to that coming up?
No changes to that. HQ doesn't have any changes in their API to allow developers to do anything differently. So, unless there's any feature suggestions around, making it better what we're currently doing, there's nothing changed.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just finished a trip where I got a lot of Adventure Labs, and I didn't see anything that didn't work for me. All of them worked perfectly, and I was able to, just like he said, even when they intertwined with each other in town and they overlap each other, it was still easy for me, at least when the ones that weren't sequential, but it was still easy for me to jump right back and forth. So easy. So the lab feature works great in there. I don't know what else you'd want to add right now until they add more features to the labs, the adventures themselves.
Yeah.
It is really great, and it's a great integration. That's something too. I think we should also bring up is the fact that you, being a authorized API developer for geocaching HQ, you have sort of I don't know. I'll let you describe it, but basically, there's certain things you're given, which is part of the beauty of being a developer, but also you're kind of you have to go by whatever their API is, whatever they're doing, right? So I guess explain to people a little bit about how that even works. So.
Sure. So you have to sign an agreement, and I think that they actually don't have the program open currently. But you sign up as an actual registered developer, and then you have a partnership between myself and with Geocaching HQ. And I have to follow the rules, but I also get the freedom of using all their APIs. So we're actually authenticating with HQ, and then you have all the same things you would on the website. Your account, you can pull down all the same kind of caches, view your lists, your pocket queries, all those kind of things. So it's not just some other system that's not connected to the main geocaching site. But there's things we can't do. For example, we can't be like CGO and screen scrape the website to get information as a basic user that premium users pay for, which is what CGO does. If I did that, I would lose the partnership, and that would break the terms of agreement. So there's things you can't do, and which is good. I mean, there's reasons for that. So
absolutely,
and then and they obviously give you work with their developers in the sense that they provide you with what you need, and if you have any questions, you can always.
And if there's bugs, I mean, over the years, I've found plenty of bugs, and you report them, and they get back to me right away, and they fix them, and they say thank you, and it's a win-win. Yeah,
absolutely. So we've had a couple suggestions. Let me ask you about the old Jim Stark's asking us about there are county challenges that you need to find 10 or 100 caches in each county. An additional feature could be able to set a count and have the red-green color be based on that count. So it's an interesting idea. So instead of it turning, it only turns green when you hit a default set number. That's kind of an interesting idea.
like since I forget what it's called, but date since last found or whatever. Like you can set your how long something hasn't been found, right?
Yeah.
Like if it hadn't been found in 90 days, I want to know, or 2 years, I want to know.
Sure. Yeah. So obviously that's not something I've added yet, but you could. So you can say you click on Washington State and then you see a list of all the counties. It'll show how many caches you've found for each county. So you could, at quick glance, you could say, oh, well, here's all the counties I'm seeing that have over 100 or over. So it wouldn't be too hard unless you're in Texas with so many counties.
Yeah.
It would take you a while to scroll down, but for most states, it wouldn't be super hard.
Yeah, so
that's a good suggestion.
The county, when you tap on the county, it'll tell you, or the state, it'll tell you how many you found in each county.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's
so you start out with a view of all your states, and you can see it'll say like 10 of 20. So you can know you've found 10 counties out of 20. Then you can tap on the state. You can see the list of all the counties, or you can just view all, which shows a map and shows all the counties. Then you can start tapping on the counties on the map, and it will allow you to drill down further into those.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Then Creepy Leech asked about instead of light red, maybe DNF yellow and NM and so needs maintenance and NA red. I think,
which they're changing the labeling of now anyway, I believe.
Are they the needs? So
yeah, so that's the labeling I've updated for 8.0 to their new terms. Is this suggestion for the coloring of the dots for logs or?
Yeah, I think he's saying the coloring of the dots for the logs. So DNF yellow, but the needs maintenance are got red. So shifting it, that'd be a shift over, I believe, of the.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think people are used to the colors. So any changes are going to confuse a lot of users, I think.
Yeah, it makes sense, but like you're so used to seeing all those for so long now.
Sure, I mean you can change it to have the actual icons for smileys and frowny faces.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that, and then it would be yellow for fines.
So you can change.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so like I leave it at the default, which is the smileys are yellow, the DNFs are blue.
It's not. Yeah, there you go. But you've got the icons, not just the dots, though.
Yeah. So yours, Gary, isn't the default. That
it isn't. Okay.
Yeah, that option is just a toggle in settings to do it that way.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's the way I have mine too, though. I like seeing the little smiley
face.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like looking at the little smiley. So that's another great thing is you can do different.
We're cachers. We always want to see the little yellow smiley. So
yeah, we always so yeah, there's and so all right. I guess let's step back a moment. Is there again we're doing hashtag Cachely tonight for the giveaway that we'll be doing at the end of the show. I will give you update at that point because it doesn't really do any good to tell you early what the prizes are because we haven't given the prize away. So we'll do that later. So yeah, hashtag Cachely for that. So a couple things I wanted to definitely cover, and I know Nick kind of put together a list too of things that are sort of tips and tricks and kind of the features. I did want to make a note, and then we'll get into some of those. One of the other ones that I wanted to mention is that I really do love the templates because one of the things that I do is I will cache with different groups. So I'll either cache with sometimes the Geocache Talk Network folks, or I'll go with what we call the Motley Caching Crew. And so I've created templates so that when we go to a spot and we find a cache, I can easily put my text template of found, and it also gives me it when I don't find one and I am tempted to put something else. The template keeps me on track in the fact that I just didn't have any luck today, and this is something I have to do. Is that I'm always tempted to go, this cache is gone. I can tell you this cache is gone. I know it's gone, but I can't do that.
Yeah, let's
got to put.
We send that log in.
Yeah, so I got to temper myself and go, you know what? I personally just didn't have any luck today, and so I'm going to stay in my lane, and I'm going to say, sometimes I suck at geocaching, and so I'm just going to stay with that. But I really do like having these various text templates available. Now, what I'll do is, and I know, Jesse, I'll get what your real world use of this is, but I will then augment. I like giving the information to the cache owner of some of the basics of, here's our group. We're here for this particular weekend for this particular purpose. And then I usually will then augment from that. Then I don't have to keep writing that part, but then I can put the experience of finding that particular cache. So is that the way you do it, Jesse, or?
Yeah. And I believe originally you could only have one text template, like kind of queued up and ready. Right. But now you can have multiple, because I think I have one for events, DNF, and found it like preset already. But I think originally you've advanced it even since then. But yeah, that's the same thing I do. And it helps me. Mine's a queue. So I do initial blurb, thank you, and, put in the keywords and everything else, because the date and all that other stuff. You got that all filled in. Thank you for doing it. Well, I always appreciate people hiding geocaches. And then I have mine set up in sections like where I report on the conditions of the log, the cache container itself, and the setting. And then, a footer at the bottom. So mine, when I pull it up, it prompts me each time to actually give information about all three of those things, and then I can fill in from there. But you got to remember what you have in your log, because if you forget and then you go cache with another group, then you got them all signed wrong.
Yeah. You'll go back and fix them later or something.
I've done that. No, yeah, that's exactly how I do it. That helps me not have a little short log, and then I can always go back and add more stuff later when I go on the computer.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did notice that you allow, is it 11 now photos in a log? Is the limit? Is it 10 or 11 maybe?
I think.
Or no, maybe
remember what it is. I don't know if there is a limit.
I know it'll allow multiple photos attached.
Yeah, you can add quite a few. I don't remember what the limit is, and if the API prevents a certain amount. It's been a while since I added that feature.
Yeah, I was testing it out when we were caching last week. I was seeing how many, add 4, 5, 6 pictures at one time with a log, and it saves me from going back later. A lot of times I'll go back later and add all my photos, like when I get home and decide. But that's a good feature too.
Very cool. So do you want to, Nick, do you want to start kind of discussing some of your list, and we'll kind of go through and we'll kind of talk about some items that
okay,
you kind of put this together through things that you found, but also what some of your testers did too, right? Yeah.
My beta testers actually reminded me about some features that I had forgotten about.
In your own app. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's no way you can memorize everything. You have so many features in this thing. There's no way you could.
True.
Yeah.
They could all be at the forefront anyway.
True. So a bunch of the ones that I have at the start here have to do with long pressing. So there's multiple places in Cachly where you can long press and it will do an action. So one of my favorite ones is long pressing on the map layers button. So if you're looking at the map, you press your thumb or whatever on the map layers button, and it will pop up a little dialogue, and it shows you your recent maps. So I use this to toggle between offline maps and satellite maps, usually Google satellite maps. So you can easily toggle between the two by long pressing, and then you just tap the one that you previously were using. And then if you want to switch back, you hold again, and then you see they actually will switch positions, and the most recent used one will move to the top. And it's just a quick and easy way to move through actually your last 3 maps is what it saves. And if you use more than that, the oldest ones will just start dropping off the list, and you'll just have the 3 most recent. And in that same menu is an options button, and that will quickly give you options to toggle cache radius circles, as well as toggle corrected coordinates if somebody wants to see like a geo art or something. So that is my first favorite feature of kind of hidden things that are for long pressing. Yeah. Did you want me
Very
to continue
cool.
with more of my list?
Yeah, let's do continue definitely. If people want to hear these, I knew that one, so I feel good. I knew about that
Okay.
one. Use that one a lot, and I use the same thing offline when I'm switching offline, satellite or hybrid. I'm switching those maps. I use that long press for that, and
that's cool.
Yep. One other long press one is long press on the map, and it drops a pin. Most people have probably seen that, but one thing you can do within that, once it drops and it pops up kind of this, it pops up a coordinate. You can tap the button on the right side of it, which is the ... button, and you can create an offline geocache. So if you want to mark your car, you want to mark actually a hide that you did, because Cachely can't actually create geocaches. You have to do that on the website. No app can do that. But if you want to hide a cache and you want to mark the actual coordinates and the location, just create an offline geocache. And then you can enter in information, what cache type, how large it is, difficulty, all the details, and save that in the database. And then later, when you go to geocaching.com, you can use all that information and enter it in their website and create your cache. So that's another thing that I always use when I do hides is offline geocache.
I do too. I do exactly that same thing, Nick. And in fact, recently I did a couple spots where I drove to a spot and I go, you know what, this will work, and did the very thing. As like you said, clicked, created an offline geocache, and then went back and used it. So that is a great tool.
I use that all the time. I just looked at it. I've got 59 saved locations right now.
Nice.
Oh, I didn't know you could look at it. How do you look at all the locations you've saved? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah.
Well, you can. So one of the options is saved locations, which is kind of an older feature that didn't allow as much flexibility.
And
then you can view all those, but you can also do the create offline geocache, and you can save those into an offline list that you create, and then you can filter them and do different things. But I also even use the offline geocaches in locations where there is no geocaches, and my family and I will mark a waterfall or mark something that we're going to go navigate to. So I use it all the time.
I have a bunch of both saved. I've built most of all the recent geocaches I've done. I've started that way. And I always double check and triple check coordinates and everything else. But I come across something, whether it's like this is gonna be a multi-earth cache or whatever. I do the type and everything. You have the whole, and then save an offline list as the type that you're trying to hide. Like if I was going to do 2 or 3 different types in an area. It's extremely helpful for that.
Yeah, because a lot of the ones that I hide, I like to hide geocaches myself when I go on like backpacking trips with friends. Way out in the middle of nowhere where I have no cell service, so I always have to create the offline geocache to mark my location. Then I'll double check it, like you're saying, on the website. But it's helpful, very helpful.
No, that's a good one. I figured people might know about that one. I found it by accident where you could drop a pin because I was just playing around on that. Oh, well,
that works too. Yeah.
And if you drop it and you're like, oh, that's not exactly where I wanted to drop it, you can press on it and then you can drag it around the map too if you want to move it. So, okay, I'll go back to my list here of a few more things. So,
go for it.
On the cache details screen, so that means you have loaded some caches, or you're looking at an offline list and you choose a cache, and then you're seeing the details. There's a couple places there that have some long press options. So the cache type, the cache code at the very top of the screen, you can long press and copy that to the clipboard on your phone if you want to send that to a friend. You can long press on the favorite heart section for a cache that you found, and that will favorite that cache. It'll also unfavorite that if you previously favorited it and you want to remove that favorite.
I did not know that.
You can hold down on that. Yep.
I wish I'd have known that. That's a very
I
forgot to do the thing when I've logged it before. My favorite. I'm like, oh, now I got to go onto the website and do it.
No, quick and Cachely, just quick.
So many times.
Yeah. There's if you want to copy the coordinates, there's 2 things for the coordinates that you're seeing. If you just single tap, it will cycle through different coordinate formats that you can see. And then if you long press on one of those, it will copy that to the text clipboard on your phone. So I use that for various things. Wow. And then one thing that most people probably don't know about. So if you are going to a cache that you found maybe a long time ago, say you found it like 5 years ago, and you're like thinking, I wonder what I wrote for my log. Do I really want to scroll through all these logs and search for it? If you just tap on the cache icon type at the top right of the details screen, it will take you to the My Logs screen and show you your logs. Well, all your logs, even if it wasn't defined, if it was a needs maintenance or write note or something like that, you should be able
My
to see
logs
it.
are friends' logs.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you can see your friends' logs. So it's a
That's
quick
cool.
way. It's a quick way to do it. There's a long way if you tap on the logs screen, and not on the bottom, but if you tap on the logs for the cache, then there's a user icon up on the top right that does give you those options. But just tapping on the cache type icon is the quick way to do it. So
that is awesome.
Cache type icon. Okay.
Yeah.
That is really awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
Now I'm going to long press on every single thing on the screen because there's so many hidden things. Oh man, that was awesome. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
that's really good. Keep going.
Okay, done. We're done with the long presses. I finished that list. So one thing I have to be transparent here. I haven't personally used this next feature because I have not been in a country that's not English speaking and geocached. But for those people that want to translate, Cachly has the option to use Google Translate for descriptions and hints and waypoints and logs. So if you are an English speaker and you go to Germany and you want to translate the logs, you tap the little ... button, and there's the option to translate with Google. Or if you are a non-English speaker and you come to an English-speaking country, you can do the opposite. So
neat.
Yeah, so I think that's a helpful feature. I know a lot of people have appreciated that.
That
good. Works great too. I just did it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good test.
I'm following along as I'm learning.
That's what I was doing too. That's why I try to show some screens to kind of help with
seamlessly too. You could easily pull up it's just the 3 dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I knew a better way to be showing these features. I wish there was could have my phone up there or something.
Oh, you're fine.
And then another one that probably not a lot of people use, but it's probably not even too well known, is that you can add custom map tile URLs. So, when you tap the map layers button, there's all these different map types. But there's a lot of map services in the world that maybe I haven't built into Cachly. I know other countries, they have different mapping services, and they provide free what's called a tile URL. And they have these little special characters that will replace the X, Y, and Z of the images. And you can just paste in that URL into that section, and then you can view that map. So I think it was Switzerland. There were some users that really liked this map from Switzerland that had different layers and different things on there, but I didn't provide that in Cachly. So I told them about this feature, and they were able to just save that, and then they can just go back and refer to it, and it's in their map list of the layers. And then they can switch back and forth if they long press on the layers icon. So nice. That's another feature that's kind of hidden and kind of not something everybody needs to use, but it's a powerful feature for those that want it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Custom tile URL.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's some on here that I know that, and I know Jesse, I flip between the state maps and sometimes the satellites because I need a little bit of information in that kind of to clarify what I'm looking at. So it's so easy to just flip between them, but you just don't think twice about it, which is great.
Yeah.
Between the satellite and the topography. I don't know if topography is bigger for
hiking or outdoor.
Did you notice that a lot? Because when you lived in Colorado and you're hiking, did you kind of sort of just make note of how many little lines you're crossing to try to go up a hill,
Yeah, we did use topographic maps, and a lot of them out there. So a lot of caches and puzzles out there, it was big because they were based on that. So the whole puzzle, so you're used to doing that anyway. And some of the puzzles are actually based on those type maps out there. They do lane nav stuff and everything else. So very helpful for that.
Yeah. And remember, with premium offline maps, you can download those hill shades and topo lines.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, even if you're out of cell signal range, you can still access your maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we'll let you get back into the list there, Nick. But that's one thing that I think it's one of the most asked items when somebody asks me about using Cachly versus using some sort of GPSR. I don't know what they're talking about, but they're always like, oh well, when you're out in the middle of nowhere in Texas, you have to use a GPSR to find a cache. I'm like, I never use one of those. I mean, now I plan. In fact, there were some caches, and I've talked about, won't get into it tonight, but there's some spots in Texas where you better offline some of those caches because there is no signal, there's no cell signal.
Yeah.
But of course the joke is that there's the satellites are still up in space, so they're not going anywhere. So,
that is true.
Yeah. That it's we kind of forget the fact that it is kind of cool that iPhones, and I guess really pretty much all phones now, but iPhones have this, they have the GPS in them that basically will find the GPS signals, satellites without, obviously we don't need, they'll do them automatically, which I love. So
yeah.
Let's get back to the list because we're going to run out of time. I don't.
Okay.
All these
keep going, Nick.
New stuff.
Okay, so let's see here. Highlighting caches. So I assume most people know about this, but you can, and you often find it the easiest in, in the long press menus. So if you want to highlight some caches, say a certain color because you want to mark them as blue because you're going to find them on a trip coming up, you can either highlight in bulk by seeing a bunch of caches on the map and then tap the ... button and then choose to highlight. Or you can do them individually, but it's just a way, I think there's 20 different colors. It's just a way to mark different caches for your own purposes. And you can even rename the highlights to, coordinate with what excuse me, with what they're meaning.
You can do colors, highlight colors. So that's kind of cool. Yep.
Nice. Thank you, Gary, for saving me during my coughing fit.
No, you're fine. I mean, it's a cool way to do it, obviously. So.
Oh yeah, and if you accidentally add an extra one to it, you can go in individually and remove the highlight as well.
Yeah. So and there's lots of things you can do with that. People use it for so many different purposes. And if they're in an offline list, you can filter just by a certain color and only show that color of highlighted caches. And it's a big feature all across Cachely. And they're shown everywhere. So if you added it to an offline cache and then you loaded that cache online, you would see it on that one as well. It's actually synced across devices. So if you're using an iPhone and an iPad on the same App Store account, you would actually see the highlights on both devices.
And so as long as it stays highlighted, like I go out of Cachely and I don't turn it back on until tomorrow, that highlight will still be there.
Correct.
Yep. Until I remove it, it's still there. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Love it. All right.
All right. Let's keep going.
Okay. Another one that was, I think it was added in 7.0, was that you can add images to your personal notes. So this is not something that HQ necessarily has an API for, but it actually uses the iCloud Drive. So it does require that you use iCloud or have an iCloud account and you're logged in on your device. But you can go to the personal notes section and then you will see a little plus button on the bottom, and you can actually save your images right there that will be associated with that cache. So, people use images for various reasons to, save information about a cache. So I know, at least from my beta testers and other people I've seen online, it's been a really helpful feature. And those are saved, iCloud Drive, like I said, so you could actually go on your computer, on your Mac, and you can actually see the images there as well if you need to. And those are actually synced across devices as well. So add them on your iPhone. You can see them on your other iPad, things like that. And that's with the syncing I'm talking about. That's for your App Store account. That is not, or your Apple account. That's not for your geocaching account that you're logged in
Right.
with. So
Gotcha.
That's the difference.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that.
Well, it's always good to be able to take those notes, especially when you're out in a big series caching. It's hard to remember the individual details, but you may not want to put it into your log yet. So that's
sure.
The more information you can add in there, the better.
Yep. And one other thing, so while I'm talking about personal notes, is people will put coordinates in their personal notes. They might do some figuring and figure out puzzle cache and make notes in there, and then actually write out the coordinate of the final find. And that will actually highlight in green, and it will be tappable. You can tap that, and you can save it as corrected coordinates right from that screen. So it's a really quick and easy way to do that action, and to not have to copy and paste that or flip screens and type it back and forth. It's a really quick tool.
Yeah, I need to remember that. I'm always like, well, we'll do a multi or something, so we'll jump back in the car, and we're like trying to figure it out on like a scrap of paper that I got off before the car, and like this little part of a pencil on the armrest, and I could just do all those notes right there. That'd be a lot easier.
Write it in your personal notes. Yep.
Yeah, I've never even thought about doing it that way before, which I don't know why, because it's obvious.
Yeah. Things you learn.
This is a good point too. I don't want to bring it up from the chat room, but Ms. Weaver, I like that.
She knew.
They use Cachely.
Yeah.
What's that?
She knew about the feature. Nick told me information.
Forgot to favorite. That's something too that's really I like, is the fact that if I am somewhere and it was sort of maybe not planned fully, or we wanted to sort of augment where we're at, is I can do a quick search of our area, and I can obviously search down to favorite points and things like that.
Yeah.
It's always been a great feature. So.
Oh yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Okay. What else we got?
All right. One thing that I think a lot of people know, but some people, especially new users, might not realize, is that there's route sharing features in Cachely. So when you're navigating to a cache and you get to that navigate screen where you see the line drawn between your current location and the cache, up on the top right is that ... menu again. And if you tap that, it will show you a bunch of mapping apps if you have them installed on your phone. So like Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, Guru, a bunch of maps that we integrate with, and it will send the coordinate. If you choose, it will send the coordinates to those, turn by turn directions type of apps, and then you can more easily navigate and get to those caches, especially driving. So in our 8.0 version, it will also work with Tesla. So
wow, very cool.
So that'll be a new option.
I was going to go buy a Tesla, but I've been waiting on this to.
Now is your chance.
Yeah, I got to rush out and get one now. But no, I am not getting rid of my Jeep for anything. And it goes with this perfectly. It's got the screen, so I'll navigate like this.
Yeah.
Hit Apple Maps. And what's the coolest thing? And I think you did it in 7.0. I'm not sure. It may have been earlier, but now it doesn't just like take you to the dot. It says the cache name on your navigation screen. So, that's so cool. You're like, oh, I don't know why it's cool, but it is.
It is cool.
Random dot with, coordinates. It actually says GC, whatever,
Yeah. Are you talking about in CarPlay?
Yeah. In your CarPlay.
Yeah. So it's passing that information to Apple Maps, and then it will display on CarPlay.
Yeah.
So that's the nice thing. Even though like I've tried to apply for the actual CarPlay developer kit with Apple, so I can do more and have an actual Cachely app in CarPlay. But even though I haven't been able to do that yet, yes, when you ask Cachely to route with your vehicle, it will push it to CarPlay, and so you can be seeing that on your screen, on many different vehicles, which is really nice.
Oh yeah, I would love to see what you could do with it when you get to work with Apple CarPlay.
I would too, but they like tightly hold on to that developer's kit and only allow it for certain uses because they don't want people distracted by the screen. So I have to be careful about like what I say when I apply to it. And I've tried 2 times. I just did it for the 3rd time the other day. I tried to apply for the program again, so we'll see what happens.
I guess I get what they're saying, but
yeah. But I mean, there's other things. You're using Apple Maps on CarPlay to search for like a 7-Eleven or a McDonald's, and you're looking at the screen and tapping, and it's still kind of distracted driving no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, it is. We'll just not talk about that part though.
Okay.
You have to
We will
coordinate
get
it.
Ashley in trouble.
Yep.
All right. Any other features that we may not know?
Yeah. So proximity alert is one that people might know about, but it's so if you want to be alerted to being close to a cache, but you want to put your phone in your pocket, and you're navigating to a cache, you can tap on. There's a little icon that looks like some circles with a few caches. It's on the bottom right of your map. It'll be a new icon, or you can long press on it and it will turn on. And then you can turn off your phone, put it in your pocket. If you have an Apple Watch, it also integrates with that. And when you get to, I think within what the default is 100 feet or something like that. I have to look again, but it'll actually alert you. So it'll alert on your phone, it'll alert on your watch, and it will let you know that you've come within that radius. So a lot of people use that when they're riding a bike and they don't want to skiing, something like that. And they don't want to pass a cache, even hiking, anything like that, where a cache is coming. You don't want to sit there and hold your phone and just look at it the whole time, but it's really nice. And you can also do it in an offline list, and you can make it alert you for multiple caches. So say you're on a trail and there's 5 caches coming up. You could just turn it on, put it in your pocket, look at your Apple Watch, and see which cache you just came kind of within the proximity of. And you can change some parameters. You can make it within a smaller radius. So if you really want to be exact and say, within 10 feet, you could do that kind of thing too. There's lots of different options. And also different sounds you can set for the alerts that it makes. So yeah, that's a fun feature.
I had a feature of this feature. So you said you're going to be working with Tesla, and you driving down the road, and you can get in proximity. Can you just tell it, drive me to the next cache? Already, can't we? Just
not currently, but that's something I could add.
So if you had a Tesla, you could just turn on Cachely, and it'll just drive you to every cache that you come by. And
you could be sitting in the back seat, hands free in your Tesla.
That's right. I mean, it's impossible. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And disclaimer, I don't have a Tesla personally. So I had to have. Sorry, Cachely has not bought me a Tesla.
Dang it.
Yeah, newsflash. But I do have a beta tester who has one. So I would have to change these little things in Cachely and then do another beta. And then he would test it and say, it didn't work. And I would have to, it was like working in blind for a while because it was actually no clue how Tesla was integrating because it wasn't that easy. Anyways, we figured it out finally and it worked for him. So
that's wild.
Yeah.
I think I want a Tesla that has a button on it that says, take me to a cache.
Take me to a cache.
Yeah.
Take me up when I get there.
Perfect.
That would make county caching so much easier.
Gosh, it would.
Take me to the next county.
Yeah. Just wake me when I get to the cache.
Perfect.
That must be for 9.0. We'll wait.
Yeah.
9.0. There you go. So
how much time do we have for my list here?
If Gary would be quiet, we'd have a lot of time. Go for it,
Nick.
Keep
going.
Well, if we only have 2 minutes left, I have the last feature that is
we got a little bit. Go ahead.
We can go a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
We can hear him.
Okay.
Gary
I got 2 more then. So
go ahead.
If you're using premium offline maps, there's actually a way to load multiple maps at the same time. And
wow.
So say you are in, I'll use my context because I'm in Washington. If you want to use Washington and Oregon, you want to load them at the same time. Normally you just tap one of them and it will load that single map. But when you go to the map list screen or the map layers screen, up on the top left is an edit button. If you tap the edit button, it'll bring you into an interface where you can tap a couple of the maps. You could choose them all if you really wanted to. And then hit done, and then it will load. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It will load multiple maps at the same time.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So it's helpful for maps that are close to each other. There is some overlapping issues. Say you load Washington State and Florida. You're going to get some strange overlap because geographically those are so far apart. So I wouldn't recommend that.
But like here, Texas and Arkansas. So that could be because we're right next to each other. Okay.
Yeah. So, and there is in offline maps, there is some larger sections of states that are together. Like there's a Northeast map and a Northwest map that includes multiple states already in that download, but not everybody wants to download, a 2 gig file.
Yeah.
So,
but it's good when you're doing if you're kind of skirting the line on 2 states and you're doing those, want to make sure you're over the border of 2 states. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
So, okay. All right. And the last one. Last but not least, on Christmas Day, your finds will turn into Santa hat. We'll have Santa hats on them.
I know, I love it. I love that.
People don't see that one until December 25, but make sure you pay attention to that on Christmas Day.
Yep.
I love it. That's great.
The Santa hats. I always love that.
Is there anything that we missed that you want to hit, though?
That was my list of things that I wrote down. I'm trying to think anything else I missed. No. I want to reassure people about 8.0 that I've been working on it for over a year now, and it is definitely still in the works. It's I've almost been releasing betas every 2 days now to my beta testers. Just some of these features, like the counties feature, has been very complex. The United States alone has like over 6,000 counties. So I had to gather over 6,000 county bounds of all the counties and make sure they were correct. And then we would run into issues like Connecticut having the county cachers don't use the 8 actual counties. They use the 9 municipal something that's not real counties, but they use those for their challenges instead. So there are all these kind of little things that have taken time to really get right and not screw up for the people that are really caring about counties. So even just that feature alone has probably been working on it for 6 months. So
I would assume along those lines, I would assume this would be another one of those impossible things. People probably suggest things a lot of times that sound real simple, but are like hugely ridiculous on the back end. I'm sure there's several elements you can't do. Have y'all ever talked about the like DeLorme challenge, that old challenge is still around there, but they had the old DeLorme map book. That's not even official lines of anything, right? So there's no way to use that at all, is there?
I've looked into that actually, because people have talked about that, and it's essentially I could just layer that over the map, and but yeah, the accuracy of that, where you really get close and zoom in. I mean, you're referring to pages in a book, right?
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely possible. But I think last time I looked into that, somebody was saying that there's only one of those challenges left. I thought, but you know what? It's something that wouldn't be too hard to add. It's something I have looked into. I have all the files actually that have the pages that I can overlay over a map. I just haven't gotten too serious about it because there's only been a few people who have asked me about it. So
I didn't even think about them being gone. Those old challenges. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I thought somebody told me there was only one left.
That's wild. There used to be a bunch of them.
Yeah. Somebody please correct me, because I'm probably wrong, but I could have sworn that was the case.
I don't know.
There's 57 that I can see just from a.
Are those pre-moratorium, Jesse, you think?
Yeah, because you couldn't do that now.
Okay. Maybe that's what the person that was telling me meant.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore. So I just did a quick search, and it looks like with the title DeLorme in it and it being labeled as a challenge cache, there's 57 that show up immediately. And there's actually some that are not even. There's one in Sweden and one in France, which, I don't know why they'd be doing the DeLorme challenge, but whatever.
Yeah, really.
They travel a lot, apparently.
Jim saying they had one. There was one in Ohio, but it's gone. So the DeLorme pages are still there. They just don't have the challenge. So all right.
Yeah. Well, it's worth me revisiting for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. We're gonna do the giveaway, but I know we're excited and know what it takes to get 8.0 done. I know it's a lot of work, and we appreciate you coming on and giving us sort of an update. And obviously, we will keep in touch, and we look forward to hearing about that when it does come out. Do you have like a quarter? Do you want to do Q3 or Q4, or not to that point where you could tell what quarter it's going to come out?
I've learned that I should stop estimating when I'm going to release it, because I think I estimated I was going to release it in 2022, and then all these people got mad, and they're like, well, you said this. And I was like, I was just transparent. I was like, hey, life gets in the way. You get a new job. I have children. I have a wife. I have family.
Yes.
My life is not dedicated solely to Cachely. So I'm sorry, but real things happen, and timelines get pushed back, and That was I was just being honest, and everybody else on that Facebook post was saying, "Hey, that's great." Don't worry
We
about
agree.
the poster.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I'm not going to say because it will probably be wrong.
That's fine. It will come out when it does, and we will get it. It'll become a update on our phones that time.
Yep.
All right.
I just want to hit one more thing real quick. I know it's not.
Go for it.
But for people that may be investigating Cachly, we're not trying to sell Cachly here. We talk about Cachly all the time. Obviously, we're getting behind the scenes information now, but one of the things that's different about Cachly than some of the other ones, and I'm not bagging on any other ones, I just know this for a fact about Cachly. Nick is on the other end. So if you go into I think it's the More tab and scroll all the way down, that's where that help and support is. And there's somebody on the other end of that, right? I don't mean to call Nick at his house, but like there's people that quickly in the Facebook group too. There's so much information around this, and you can actually, that's where you get a lot of good information, right, Nick? People send you information and go, is this a thing? And a lot of the features have come out of that. So I just want to make sure everybody knew that was actually in there. It's not like you have to call some 1-800 number right in the app. You can send information like, hey, this is great, or what about this? So
and like you said, there's support forums, there is the Facebook group, but there's also the contact support option, which sends an email right to me.
Right.
Yep.
So I just for anybody that happened to be stumbling on this, I want to make sure that was part of it as well.
Yeah, that is tremendous. And Nick's you've always been quick to do that, and we appreciate you, your support that you do provide on top of raising a family and keeping the bills paid and everything else. So that's awesome. All right. Well, cool. Let's do our giveaway. If you'd like to be entered, we'll be clicking on the button here. Yep. Thanks, Jim. Hit the like button. Yep, definitely for this show. And the giveaway tool, I will bring it up and we will get a winner. So let me bring up the giveaway. Hashtag Cachly tonight was the entry. So you've got about 5 seconds. And again, I got some coins. If you win, I'll get with you and give you some options. But I have some of our older coins, and I have some coins from Cache Fest last year. I love the still have a few of the bisons. Love the little bisons, the copper and the silver bisons. They're kind of cute.
Those are cool.
I like those. So, all right. Here we go. Bring it up. Round and round it goes, Jesse, and where it stops, we don't know because it's just a cool app that they give us for StreamYard.
Yeah.
There we go. As it spins, it's spinning. Royals fan.
Oh, he's in here tonight. Yeah, we saw him.
There we go. Yay.
There we go.
Very cool. All right. So again, thanks so much, Nick. We look forward to things in the future. And again, thank you for giving us the updates and everything is really helpful and reminding us of some of the items that even Jesse and I, who use it all the time, we forget some of these, and I'm glad we brought them up tonight.
Oh yeah.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks.
Yep.
Anything, Jesse? We ready to go?
I mean, like, I'm not trying to do a sales pitch for Cachly, but like Gary and I buy it.
I'm okay with that.
Every time a new one comes out, if there's a new, geocaching app that came out tomorrow, we're going to try every single one because
we do
I report on it and everything else. Right. But I couldn't imagine how you would have an iOS phone and not spend $5, which everybody raves about Cachly. Like, oh, I'll just stick with this other one. How about try a different one and find out how many advanced features are out there? Not every person can put those in their app. And I don't know how you wouldn't go $5. I'll give it a try. If I don't like it, it's $5.
Yeah.
I've been driving here on Geocache. That's probably spent that on the last gallon of gas.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Cheap. It's so cheap. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Thank you for that sales pitch. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.